It's 1980. The music is louder, the cars are boxier, and a crisp $100 bill still feels substantial in your hand. The average weekly wage was around $285, meaning $100 represented roughly a third of a week's work, not pocket change, real earning power. But 1980 also carried double-digit inflation, rising gas prices, and high interest rates. So here's the question. In a year often remembered for economic pressure, how far could $100 really stretch? Could it cover rent, stock the fridge, fill the tank, or still leave room for a little fun? Let's step into 1980 and find out exactly what that $100 could buy. In 1980, housing costs had risen compared to a decade earlier, but they were still grounded in relation to wages. The average monthly rent in the United States was about $243. That means $100 could cover nearly half a month's rent in many areas, a meaningful portion of the biggest household expense. For buyers, the median home price stood around $47,200. Mortgage rates were high, often above 13%, yet steady employment made ownership possible for many families. With shelter secured, or at least within reach, the next question became practical. Once the rent was paid, how far could the remaining dollars stretch inside the home? Once the rent was handled, the next stop was the supermarket. In 1980, a gallon of milk averaged about $2.16. A loaf of bread cost around 50 cents, and a dozen eggs were roughly 84 cents. Ground beef hovered near $1.60 per pound. $20 could still cover the basics. $50 could fill several bags with staples for the week. Even with inflation running high, grocery shopping remained manageable for many working households earning close to $285 a week. You weren't just buying food, you were buying routine, packed lunches, and family dinners around the table. And once the fridge was stocked, attention naturally turned outward, toward the driveway and the cost of staying mobile. By 1980, transportation costs were impossible to ignore. Gasoline averaged about $1.19 per gallon, a sharp rise from the early 1970s. That meant $20 bought around 16 gallons, enough for a week or two of commuting for many drivers. A full $100 could keep the tank filled for quite a while. A brand new car averaged roughly $7,200, while reliable used models could be found for far less. Despite higher fuel prices, Americans were still driving. To work, to malls, to weekend trips. Mobility remained freedom. And with fuel in the tank, the next question wasn't just about getting around. It was about where that $100 could take you for fun. Even in a year marked by high inflation, 1980 still left room for enjoyment. A movie ticket averaged about $2.69, and a fast food meal could be found for $2 to $3. A casual sit-down dinner might cost $6 to $10 per person, depending on the city. With $20, a couple could easily cover dinner and a film. With $50, you could add dessert, drinks, or even tickets to a local concert. And with $100 in your pocket, a full weekend of small pleasures felt entirely possible. Because even during economic shifts, Americans still made time for music, laughter, and shared experiences. Proof that money wasn't just for bills, but for memories too. Inside the home, 1980 was a year of growing technology and everyday upgrades. A color television averaged around $400 to $600, while a new refrigerator typically cost $350 to $500. Many families purchased on installment plans, making a $100 payment a meaningful step toward modern comfort. Microwave ovens, once considered luxury items in the 1970s, were becoming mainstream, often priced between $250 and $400. These appliances saved time and made daily life easier. Despite high interest rates and rising prices, wages were climbing too. Progress was visible: brighter screens, quicker meals, and homes that felt more efficient than ever. And as 1980 moved forward, one question remained: what did $100 ultimately represent in a changing America? So what did $100 truly represent in 1980? It wasn't a fortune, but it was far from small. It could cover a large share of the rent, fill the refrigerator, keep the car moving, and still leave room for a night at the movies. Even in a year defined by high inflation and interest rates, $100 still carried weight. More importantly, it symbolized momentum. Families adapted, technology improved, and everyday life continued to get more comfortable and connected. The 1980s were just beginning, and despite economic pressure, optimism remained alive in living rooms across America. If you enjoyed this look back at 1980, explore the videos on your screen to see how $100 performed in other decades. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Time Cost for more journeys through the true cost of living. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.